Viewers, they were holding their breath. But luckily, Kejriwal's inner circle, his wife, the ever dependable comrade in arms, Manish Sisodia, and Mantri extraordinaire, Atishi, didn't have to wait too long. Within a few minutes of the court assembling, the two-judge bench awarded bail to the Delhi Chief Minister. The Supreme Court, as I told you, viewers, had been hearing this matter for some time now. Kejriwal's petition, in fact, seeking this relief, bail to be specific. And now, ahead of the Haryana elections, he has walked out of jail, and we have just seen those pictures of him coming out of Tihar jail. Viewers, Kejriwal was arrested by the CBI in June. And the CBI arrest was timed to the court granting Kejriwal bail in the ED case. As high fives rang out, the judges gave the embattled party even more to cheer. It slammed the CBI for the timing of the arrest and for carrying out the action only to frustrate the bail granted by a lower court in connection with a parallel enforcement directorate case. The only saving grace, viewers, for the CBI was that its arrest was not deemed illegal. They said that yes, the CBI did follow procedure, though the timing was suspect. In a nod to the UPA era, the phrase, quote, caged parrot, unquote, was also bandied about by the Supreme Court justices. The Supreme Court noting that CBI must dispel the notion of being a caged parrot and must show it is an uncaged parrot. Mixing metaphors, the Supreme Court also counseled that the CBI shouldn't be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion. Let me quote you exactly what the Supreme Court said, viewers, today. It said, perception also matters, and CBI must dispel the notion of being a caged parrot and must show it is an uncaged parrot. CBI should be like Caesar's wife, above suspicion, unquote. It went on to say, CBI did not feel the need to arrest him, that is Mr. Kejriwal, even though he was interrogated in March 2023. And it was only after his ED arrest was stayed that the CBI became active and sought custody of Mr. Kejriwal, unquote. It went on to say, the CBI felt no need of arrest for over 22 months. Such action by the CBI raises serious questions on the timing of the arrest, and such an arrest by CBI was only to frustrate the bail granted in the ED case, unquote. But even as the Supreme Court was staring into the CBI, it decided to suddenly turn its attention to Chief Minister Kejriwal. The Supreme Court began by stalling any attempt by the AAP to set the public narrative in its favor by denying the Chief Minister the right to speak about the case. So if you heard today when he came out of jail, and you can see him in his blue shirt, he said, look, I don't want to talk about the case too much, but in life, God has always helped me out when I've been in trouble because I am always honest and I follow the just path. He hasn't gone into the merits of the case. His party, however, of course, has been suggesting that the truth has won, that his bail is an indication that he is innocent. But the Supreme Court perhaps preempted this, viewers. Then went beyond. It ordered Kejriwal not to visit his office or the Delhi Secretariat and to not even sign any official file unless absolutely necessary to obtain the Lieutenant Governor's sanction. In other words, the Supreme Court granted Kejriwal liberty but denied him his office, underlining that he is still a suspect and that bail isn't a clean chit. In fact, it is possible that the Supreme Court was perhaps guided by what other courts have said about the charges against Kejriwal. Let me run you through what Mr. Kejriwal has been accused of, or when the courts didn't exactly believe that there was no case against Mr. Kejriwal. So, at one point, The court said appellant's arrest by CBI was permissible in the light of the trial court's order dated June 25th, 2024. It went on to say, do not find any merit in appellant's contention that CBI failed to comply with set procedures, which has been upheld today by the Supreme Court, by the way, viewers. The appellant's arrest does not suffer from procedural infirmity, plea on non-compliance merits rejection. And there have been other instances in the past when the Supreme Court itself and the High Court itself perused the material brought before it by the agencies to say that, look, there is a case against Mr. Kejriwal and we cannot dismiss the case out of hand. Now, viewers, a chief minister at large is for all practical purposes administratively lame duck. If he isn't trusted by the court to conduct himself with a measure of propriety and integrity when in office, why should the taxpayer believe he can be trusted to serve them? Think about it, viewers. Mr. Kejriwal is out. He in any case never really held any cabinet portfolio, so to speak. But there are decisions that need to be taken on which his signature is needed. Now, he doesn't even have to attend office because he's barred from doing so. He can't enter the secretariat. You could always argue that files can be brought to his house and he can sort of peruse them, this, that, the other, but beyond that, he really can't do very much. The file will go again to the LG. And remember, viewers, at one time, the Chief Minister didn't really deem it even necessary to sign on those files. And the LG had to remind him that in half a dozen or more cases, or perhaps even more cases, he hadn't signed on certain governmental orders. And he was required to do so. The LG thought it quite strange. Now, viewers, he will sit at home. He will perhaps go out there and campaign in Haryana, which he can do. He'll probably pay the martyr. The BJP will hope that Kejriwal will undercut the Congress vote in Haryana. One doesn't quite know whether that will happen or not. But viewers, he gets to travel free, he gets to get his salary, he gets to live in a palace that he calls his home. He will have liveried staff looking after him. He will get all the perks, viewers, all the perks, free bijli, pani, travel, this, that, the other, fuel. But who's going to carry the can, viewers, for him not doing very much? It's all of us, the taxpayer. We're going to carry the can for this. Which prompts us to ask, shouldn't the Chief Minister just step aside? Let someone else do the job. Once he's acquitted and so forth, he can always come back. Precedent exists of this. Let's open this up, viewers. Let's not keep you from the debaters, but that's Mr. Kejriwal there, right in the middle of your screens. Let me remind you, he was freed about 45 minutes back. He came out of jail, Victor's lap. He's waving his hands, he's delighted. He thinks this is a great exoneration. Is it really? As I said, let's open this up, viewers. Let's go straight across to our guests. Let's ask some pointed questions. Let me begin. Can we have our guests? That's right. There we are. Wise minds tonight. People who know what they're going to be saying. So viewers, you should all pay attention. And I'm going to play the perfect moderator. Not going to take any sides. I've said what I had to say. Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Raman. Let me begin with you, Dr. Raman. Dr. Raman, is this an exoneration? Can the AAP now go around claiming that, look, yes, we've really sort of won this matter and Modi is, vindictive and so forth? Or should we hold our horses on that account? Yes, the CBI has got a bit of a rap. It's obviously acted like a caged parrot or worse. I don't know why the Supreme Court doesn't have a vocabulary beyond the parrot. 15 years have passed, they could have come up with better words. I know a few. But nonetheless, Dr. Raman, what do you make of this?
Rahul, I don't think this is any more an exoneration of Mr. Kejriwal than the fact that he was denied bail being proof of his guilt. All along what was said, you kept saying, no, court has not given bail, court has not given bail. Therefore, there must be something. They must have found prima facie evidence. All of this was said all along. Now that they have given bail, neither was that correct nor is this correct. He has not been given bail for a variety of reasons. Now he has been given bail. Neither of them makes him either guilty or innocent, and he remains innocent until proven guilty because that is the law of the land. Period. Now, the point really is we have to go into slightly more detail about the rap, quote unquote, the slight rap for the CBI that you have mentioned. It is not a slight rap. Now, clearly, it is not going to have any impact on the present CBI, and everybody knows that for reasons which are well known, it's hardly going to make an iota of difference. They are going to continue in their good old ways. The point is really that Mr. Kejriwal should have been out long ago. Everyone knows that. In fact, the judgment itself sort of alludes to that. You wanted to keep him in prison deliberately, and that is why on the day before his bail in the ED case comes, the CBI jumps in. The CBI did not want him for all the period prior to that. So come on, Rahul, there's got to be some logic in all these actions. And it is crystal clear from the rap that the court has given that the CBI has been asked some very difficult questions. It's not going to make a difference to them. That's a separate issue. But at least the court has been willing to place it on record that the actions of the CBI have not been above board. Now, that is the bottom line. Mr. Kejriwal remains innocent until he is convicted by a court of law. That is the law of the land. And again, I reiterate, all those who kept saying that he was guilty because the court did, or alluded saying that he must be guilty because the court has not given him bail. Now,
but Dr.
today,
Raman, to be honest, this principle you didn't apply.
No,
1 second. To Mr. Modi in 2019, I remember having debates with you when we were, on another channel, and on the Rafale matter and all of that. You said, I've been reading the Hindu dedicatedly.
Not at all.
And look at what the Hindu is saying. And you used to hold up the paper and used to say, this Hindu has got it all right. Kick this person out.
Anybody can say, no, not at all.
You said it, I remember.
There needs to be an inquiry. That's all I said. There needs to be an inquiry.
I remember you saying that Chaukidar Chor hai, the slogan is applicable and it will have a damaging impact, sir.
No, I have never ever said somebody is guilty on the basis of allegations. All I have consistently said is you need to have an impartial inquiry to find out if somebody is guilty or innocent.
Right.
And I maintain that is my position, whether it is Rafale, whether it is Pegasus, whether it is Adani.
Now, I think, viewers, we are missing the nub of this issue. Look, I mean, yes, we cannot sideline the fact that the CBI has got a right royal ticking off. No doubt about it. It's always been caged. We probably know this, viewers. I don't think anyone's being fooled. But what I can't understand, Dr. Raman, is that the Supreme Court doesn't trust a chief minister from attending his office. Clearly,
not at all, Rahul.
Clearly,
it is common sense. Common sense.
What is common
sense? What has he been accused of? He has been accused in the Delhi liquor policy case. Are we agreed on that?
Yeah. I mean,
where are the documents about the Delhi liquor policy case? They are likely to be with the CBI, with the ED. There could still be some evidence which could be.
There can't be any more evidence. I'll tell you that office has been raided so many times.
Then you have to tell that.
Unless they're going now the CBI out of a sense of real.
Logically, they don't want.
Dr. Raman, we've even got a.
Evidence could potentially be tampered.
There is no evidence left there. My point is, viewers, the Supreme Court doesn't trust the Chief Minister. They're saying you cannot go to your office, you can't go to your secretary, don't even begin to sign a file. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, I think, that kind of puts this entire matter in a very different perspective. And I don't know why you and I, citizens of, the lovely city, Delhi, have to now sort of shell out, our rupees. God knows how much all this legal, hiring of all these top great lawyers, etc., has cost the exchequer and me, actually, and you. Now we have to also, gardening leave he's got in a matter of speaking.
Good evening, Rahul, on this wonderful historic day where Mr. Kejriwal, the savior of Delhi, as Miss Sanju Verma, can you please hold on to that laughter yet? No, look, I think when the Supreme Court said, Mr. Kejriwal, we are giving you bail, but you dare not go to your office, you dare not visit the secretariat, you dare not sign any file. Mr. Kejriwal must have said, my lord, that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So what's new? No, look, the fact of the matter is, as you said it, let me kind of disentangle the two issues. The first one is, of course, the independence of the CBI. The second one is the bail to Mr. Kejriwal and the strictures that have been put, directives have been put by the Supreme Court. Let me handle the second one first. You are absolutely right. If a sitting chief minister who's been in jail, who's come out of jail, of course, he is innocent until proven guilty. And it is another matter that, as Dr. Sumant Raman said, I have never presumed anyone guilty without investigation. If there is one person who presumed everyone guilty without investigation, it was Mr. Kejriwal. The irony just died there. But the fact of the matter is, how can he be a chief minister of one of the biggest cities of the world, which has 31 million population? How can he be governing this city when he cannot sign a file, when he cannot visit an office? There and then his counsel, I don't know who his counsel is, would have said, under such circumstances, my client can no longer be or act as the chief minister. That is what propriety would have suggested. And this is not the government or Modi saying you cannot sign any file, you cannot visit your office. If it's the Supreme Court saying it, your morality and ethics should dictate the fact that you should resign as a chief minister. That's the least one can do. So that's point number one. Point number two about the independence of CBI. Well, I've said this before and I hold absolutely true to it. The CBI is not independent. And I can hear Ms. Sanju Verma already kind of, talking about the quote unquote phrase monkey balancing when it comes to it. Be that as it may, I'm prepared to withstand her onslaught. But I have to say this, that all that has happened is that the shoulder has changed. The shoulder right now is of Narendra Modi. The parrot is exactly the same. And it was the BJP and the late Mr. Arun Jaitley who vowed. In fact, he gave a momentous speech in the Rajya Sabha talking about how the CBI needs to change. 7 points he gave, which would give independence to the CBI. But the moment BJP came to power, nothing changed. So yes, the CBI is a caged parrot. There is no doubt about it. The third important point that I'd like to say, the Supreme Court goes on and on about how the bail should be a rule and jail should be an exception. If you remember, 3 years ago, the ED so-called draconian acts where the bail has to be in the rarest of rare cases, it was ratified by the same Supreme Court 3-judge bench. So all the 3 points point to the fact that, of course, something improper has happened and it continues to happen until Mr. Kejriwal remains as the chief minister who can no longer sign a file, who can no longer go to office.
Well, I mean, the SC, of course, and its flip-flops views. I remember there was this massive press conference. 4 of these justices came out. And on this manicured lawn, they arranged the chairs. And they sat and all the cameras crowded in. And I remember that there were certain top journalists who also landed up there with their mics in hand. And they said, we're going to change the roster system and this and that. And bench fixing goes on. And had they had a whip, they would have started flagellating themselves there. But obviously, viewers, nothing changes. In fact, it's exactly as it were. I can't talk about parrots there. So, the Supreme Court can use all these epithets to describe all the other parrots. But, there are quite a few who sit on the line in that same manner every morning like sparrows do. But that's a different matter. Viewers, I'm not getting into here the duplicity or the non-duplicity or the double-speak or the non-double-speak of the Supreme Court. I'm not getting into all of that. Sanju Verma, I need to ask you, this parrot, when will you make it into a condor? Let it go fly, wave its wings, and then do something that will make all of us proud. That's the question.
Rahul, first and foremost, let me say this to Mr. Ranganathan. I'm not going to call him a monkey balancer. Let the audience decide. And, I'm a bit surprised. Mr. Ranganathan is a free speech absolutist. On a lighter note, अभी संजू वर्मा यदि हंस रही है, तो आपको क्यों दिक्कत हो रही है? Because I know on various debates, on various channels, the opposition these days, if I raise my finger, why is she raising a finger? Why is she raising a hand? Why is she smiling? Why is she laughing? Why did she speak for 2 minutes and 10 seconds? I got only 2 minutes and 9 seconds. I mean, that is the kind of paranoia. I'm sure Mr. Ranganathan is not paranoid of me. But now let me come to the moot point of the debate. The moot point of the debate is this. This is not Sanju Verma speaking. I want to take your audience to a very important judgment of April 2023. Abhishek Manu Singhvi was the one who was actually fighting on behalf of 14 opposition parties, and there were 241 petitions. It was a 3-judge bench led by Justice Khanvilkar. The other 2 were Justice Maheshwari and Justice C.T. Ravi Kumar. And I'll tell you what, and the discussion was about whether process has become punishment under the Modi government, which is what was the allegation made by Abhishek Manu Singhvi on behalf of India's debilitated opposition, and whether the Enforcement Directorate and the CBI are working at the incumbent government's behest and have become authoritarian. I'm reading out very quickly, because if you believe today's judgment, there's no reason why you should not believe the April 2023 judgment by Justice Khanvilkar, where he says, the court upholds the validity of Section 3, which is basically the definition of money laundering. It upholds Section 5 of the PMLA, which pertains to attachment of property. It upholds Section 8(4) of the PMLA, which is about taking possession of the attached property. Section 17 of PMLA pertaining to search and seizure of assets. Section 19, which pertains to powers of making an arrest. Section 24, which talks about reverse burden of proof. Section 44, which is about offences which can be tried by a special court as far as PMLA offences are concerned. And the most important one, Justice Khanvilkar upheld Section 45 of the PMLA, which basically says that in PMLA cases, the case is automatically A, cognizable, B, non-bailable, and 3, bail is the exception and jail is the norm. So while Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya may call the CBI a caged parrot, and whether it's a caged parrot, a Siberian crane, a red-headed vulture, or a white-backed vulture, that is up for debate. But I know one thing, that Justice Surya Kant made a very pertinent observation, which Kejriwal's Darbaris should listen on Rahul Shivshankar's show. Okay, Justice Surya Kant clearly said that Section 41(3) of the CRPC pertaining to legality of arrest is not under dispute, which basically means that Kejriwal's arrest was never illegal to start with. So for you to sit here, when I say you, I mean the entire opposition and people who are, very quick to do this monkey balancing, saying, "Arey BJP ke dauran bhi to caged parrot thi, ab bhi to wahi haal hai." Let me tell you, the legality of Arvind Kejriwal's arrest is not under dispute or discussion. The only thing which I gather, despite, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist or a lawyer, basic common sense tells you what Justice Ujjwal Bhuiya also said, is that since the trial has gone on for now more than 4.5 months, because remember, he was arrested by the ED on March 21st,
okay,
and then the CBI arrest came on June 26th. So let him be out on bail. That does not mean that the guy is innocent.
No, we're not. Yeah, I think that has been established. But let me just come back to you. Sanju Verma, 1 second. Let me come back to you. No, you see, look, aapko bhi thoda chronology samajhna padega. This is what Justice Bhuiya has said. Justice Bhuiya has said there's a problem here. I'm not, you're right, I even made that point that, look, the CBI has not been found guilty of breaking procedure in arresting Mr. Kejriwal. All that has been upheld. But the chronology tells you something slightly different. It says that, look, for more than a year, the CBI, after having questioned this man, did not do anything. But when a lower court decided to give him bail on merit, then the CBI suddenly woke up and said, oh my God, the real caged parrot is going to get out. And once he gets out, then there will be a problem. So let's quickly go after him and quickly arrest him. And that is the timing that is being held up as being not suggestive of the CBI going by the book, in a manner of speaking. That's what's really upset the Supreme Court. But I have to say this, that the CBI should have not acted in this manner, because this is why today people are saying that it is a cage parrot. And very quickly, Sanju, because I have to also bring in Piyush Joshi, I want your response on this. The chronology. Why did it wait?
You know, Rahul, I will just say this to you.
Yeah.
You know, we can sit here and debate about the chronology, but finally, I'm also a politician, you know, though I think I have my mind and my heart in the right place. I just have to say this to you. I think CBI was a caged parrot when, you know, Sohrabuddin Sheikh, he was killed on the 26th of November 2005. And despite that, it took 13 years for Amit Shah to get a clean chit from the Supreme Court in 2018. The CBI was a caged parrot when after the Gujarat riots of 2002, it took 20 years for Narendra Modi to get a clean chit in June 2022 from the Supreme Court.
Be that as it
CBI
may.
was a caged parrot. 1 minute. When the Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992, after 28 years in 2020, Uma Bharti, L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi were given a clean chit. So I don't want to sit here and take bhashan from Arvind Kejriwal's retailers कि भाई आपके दौरान में भी CBI is a cage parrot. No, the CBI is doing its job, and if the Supreme Court, without being offensive, has a problem, let them say that they do not believe in Section 45 of the PMLA, Section 19 of the PMLA, and Section 51 of the PMLA, because these are the three provisions which pertain to the fact that in PMLA, bail is the exception and jail is the law.
Well, ma'am, if the case had been really strong, now I can sort of say then he shouldn't have got bail in the first place, even by the lower court. But clearly something is missing there. But nonetheless, 1 minute. My point is, your responses, you know, slightly now leverage on the side of whataboutery. What about? No. Today we are talking about what the court has said. And look, I have not used this. No retainer of Kejriwal has used this phrase, cage parrot. But nonetheless, Joshi Saab, now let me come to you. You know, I've given everyone equal time and I'll give you equal time. Please answer the question. Fine, you can today focus on the CBI, whether it's a cage parrot or a bald eagle or what have you, or a vulture. My point is that why hasn't Mr. Kejriwal been allowed to attend office? What is it about his integrity that the Supreme Court has called specifically into question? And we must then ask ourselves, if the man is not trusted fundamentally by the Supreme Court, why should the people of Delhi trust him? And that's the question, sir.
Well, Rahulji, it's a valid question. And I think the Honorable Supreme Court...
पहली दफा आपने ऐसा कुछ अच्छा बोला है मेरे बारे में.
नहीं, मैं हमेशा अच्छा ही बोलता हूँ साहब. It's only a matter of perception, you know. We all have our own identities and ideologies, and we align our thinking in accordance with that. So, nevertheless, you know, even I was wondering, if you are granting him bail, if you are allowing him to work as a chief minister, why don't you go ahead and allow him to attend his office? So that is something which is frankly puzzling me as well. And either he remains a chief minister or he does not remain a chief minister. If he remains a chief minister, if the Supreme Court is saying that it is perfectly legal for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to function as the chief minister of the state of Delhi, then allow him to go to office, or just ask him to resign simply, give a directive. And if you're not giving a directive, then allow him to attend office and allow him to perform his duties as the chief minister of the state. Nevertheless, I'm not going to get into the legalities of the matter, whether it is the bail or whether it was his arrest. I am particularly relieved as an Aam Aadmi Party supporter.
No, that's fine. But you know, you said nevertheless. I think you should be saying all the more. All the more he should quit then. Kejriwal should quit. This is not nevertheless. This is all the more. All the more Kejriwal then should take the hint and quit. Mr. Joshi, I asked Sanju Verma direct questions. I'm asking you. You are finding it puzzling. Maybe, sir, the Supreme Court is gently telling a other member of a constitutionally occupied position that, look, bud, I don't think it's making sense for you to go to office. Give somebody else charge. Now, I mean, you know, I can draw from our own newsroom's example. If supposing tomorrow someone is held up for some crime in the newsroom and they are told, no, you can actually come to one floor but not this floor. it would be seen as moral impugnment. Come on.
I understood the point. I understood the point. It's a matter of propriety,
Yeah.
And when you talk about the matter of propriety, the propriety comes from your own belief of innocence or your own belief of guilt. If you genuinely believe
it doesn't come from there.
no crime, then
It doesn't come from there. This is the Supreme Court we are talking about. They have actually gone into this matter. Now,
Rahulji, I understood your point. Just allow me to complete and then you can counter me, right? Because Arvind Kejriwal believes that he has done nothing wrong and he is a fighter by character, so he is going to fight it out. For me, the good thing about Aam Aadmi Party is that the two top guns are out, both Kejriwalji and Sisodia, and it's been almost 2 years that either of them was behind bars. So both of them are out. They have a lot to work upon. They have a lot to sort out.
No, Mr. Joshi, that's immaterial. You see, all what you're saying, this is not something.
All the more material.
No, this is not something that, look, every person believes they're innocent. No one ever. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. Yes, okay, go ahead.
No, but with due respect, I think my good friend Dr. Joshi does have a point, and I'll explain why. We all know very well that all politicians and all political parties have the moral aptitude or morality of, I don't want to name the animal here, but you get the point.
Yeah.
They have to be directed. So, yes, I agree with him. We all know the morality and ethics of Arvind Kejriwal. Let's not even go there. The point is, it is on the Supreme Court to have said that, look, when we are not trusting you to even sign a file, and as chief minister, you would have to sign hundreds of files every day. You can no longer be a chief minister. Likewise, the onus, because BJP is or any other party is never going to make CBI or any investigative agency independent. It is on what is stopping the Supreme Court for saying that, look, the CBI and all investigating agencies have to be independent. So I agree with
Under which law?
Under which law? So, okay, no, you're
what
right.
basis
Dr.
can he be asked to
Raman,
quit?
Dr. Raman, you're right. You're right. That's what I'm
Just
saying.
a
One
small
constitutional
counter,
post holder cannot just be given marching
Just
orders.
a small counter to what
But let me tell you, viewers, now I'm asking you a question. What designation should we give Mr. Kejriwal? Slightly on a flippant note, because I'm moving on. Should he be
He is the
chief minister
of
at
Delhi,
large,
period.
or should he be largely chief minister? Now, I will
is the
leave it.
constitutionally
This is
appointed
bizarre,
chief
viewers.
minister.
We can have a little smile about it, but remember that the joke is on you, actually. All of you who are watching this show. Chief minister at large, largely chief minister, you decide. But viewers, you're carrying the can. Today is a very strange day because crackers are going off. And just 2 days back, Team Kejriwal had come out with an order saying that nobody from 2 days ago, up till the new year, can light a cracker. Now, viewers, exceptionalism everywhere. Those are the crackers, viewers. You're not allowed to light crackers. Chief Minister and his team are allowed to light crackers. Boris Johnson, viewers, when he broke COVID protocols, he was shown the door. This is a contempt that the Aam Aadmi Party has for its own proclamations. Forget about, viewers, anything else. So I'm just leaving this with you. Would you like largely a CM, or would you like a CM at large? And if you don't agree with any of these two definitions, then maybe you should stand up and say, we don't want you. Put somebody else in who can do the job. Come back once you've cleared your name, no problems.